what do investment banks really do? I have a lot of friends who are in investment bank, but still, till date, I don't truly understand. And what role does the tech have really in that? I know they call it that you are the something like back office, that you support the front offices, but what exactly is it really?
I think when my journey with Deutsche Bank began, I think understanding all of those attributes with respect to what these various domain means, like how is
Hmm.
investment banking different from asset management and different from retail banking, who are our ultra high net worth customers. I think all of these were very, very specifically introduced to us during my training program that happened at London. It
Hmm.
was a global graduate program that Deutsche Bank has, and I think it's phenomenal. Everybody should go through it. Wherein we were taught कि कैसे culinary skills कैसे होते हैं, आपको खाना कैसे खाना होता है, what should be your placement of your spoon and fork on a table,
Hmm.
to like just understanding that what your travel etiquettes should be, how should you be vocal about whatever your demands are, how should you be open to learning, how should you be open to all of these different domains. So I think the way that Deutsche Bank operates is that it has various of these domains, and it has global presence, and it has
Hmm.
very significant role to play as a part of the financial sector in banking, and it has a legacy of over 150 years. So it stands strong with headquarters in Germany. But the fact that how we understand the different segments of the bank was very, very explicitly taught to us during this training program and thereafter.
Hmm.
So I worked for something which was called Private Wealth and Commercial Clients, which today is called
Okay.
International Private Banking. And we used to develop features that these ultra high net worth customers would be using. और ultra high net worth customers का मतलब ये है कि they're not customers like me, or I don't know about you, but not like me. So their investments would be over and above $25 million.
Hmm.
So that's every transaction that they go through would be more than that specific amount. And then they play in the market with like buying oil assets or Lombard loans or buying aeroplanes, things like that.
Hmm.
So they are extremely rich, very wealthy clients.
Hmm.
And we had to develop softwares for them because they were the major revenue drivers for the bank.
Hmm.
तो जब आपको इतनी pivotal point पे रख दिया जाता है wherein your leadership trusts in you and they know that okay, this team is going to make a difference with all of those aspects, I think
Hmm.
वो confidence एक leader से आपके अंदर embed होना at the same time when business and tech run shoulder to shoulder, that I felt was very, very
Hmm.
incredibly done. And that was one part of my experience wherein I was working for IPB, International
Hmm.
Private Bank. The second segment was when I was working for retail banking for Belgium, Spain, and Italy, primarily
Okay.
Belgium, but also extending my um, specific features as a part of globalization to the
Hmm.
other segments of retail as well. So those are people like me who have to like pay rent, give your electricity bill, pay for all of your education loans. So
Hmm.
that was a very familiar domain जहाँ पे एटीएम की रिक्वायरमेंट थी, जहाँ पे direct deposits into banks and having your checks and loans sanctioned. So we were definitely the back office who was trying to support our frontliners. And
Hmm.
these frontliners were relationship managers to the bank who would directly be, consulting with our customers on a day-to-day
Hmm.
basis. So
Yeah.
that's where we
So,
were.
आपने mention किया the high net individuals. So, these are corporate clients also, right? Not just like individual as an individual. I mean, is
No,
the
so these
client a
could be
corporate client?
firms,
Huh.
these could be individual clients,
Hmm.
and these could also be some corporate clients.
Okay.
सो फर्म्स में सारे आपके एनजीओज आ जाते हैं, कुछ
Hmm.
बिजनेस ओनर्स जो हैं वो आ जाते हैं, बहुत स्मॉल बिजनेसेस, मिड साइज बिजनेसेस, लार्ज साइज बिजनेसेस हम कॉरपोरेट क्लाइंट्स के अंदर उनको ऐसे रखते हैं.
Okay. तो these are I mean are these the existing customers जो मतलब बैंक के existing customers होते हैं वो होते हैं या like are the teams जो reach out करती हैं कि जिसकी भी है high net worth so they reach out as a prospective customers, is it like
So
that?
it works both ways. One is based on certain prospects
Hmm.
that the bank brings forward to them. And the second one is कि the individuals reach out to the bank saying कि मेरे पास अच्छा $25 million से ज़्यादा है,
Hmm.
मुझे ये investments हैं मेरे in the money markets or as a part of my cash flow, this is what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. When I trade based on these specific equities,
Hmm.
and these are very high earning equities as a part of it. So इन individuals को हम अलग categorize करके इनके लिए specialized services या customized services provide भी करते हैं.
Hmm. Got
And
it.
because the region was more like Asia Pacific was में Hong Kong, Singapore. In case of Europe, it was mostly Switzerland, Belgium, Germany. So we had specific locations where all of these things would be in place.
Hmm.
At the same time, the regulations they vary. So some assets that can be financially exchanged in Europe, those legal regulations could be very different for Asia Pacific.
Hmm.
Like for
Yeah,
example,
correct.
in case of Switzerland, there are MiFID regulations.
Hmm.
In India, we have RBI related regulations that we need to abide by.
Hmm.
So वो सारे regulations के अंदर we had to deliver componentized features so that they could go ahead and हम effort इतना सा करें, but using like feature flags or using certain toggles, we open that feature to specific
Hmm.
global regions.
Yeah, EU में I think there are a lot of regulations, at least in terms of product, I know.
Yes,
Ki even for things
that is
like
absolutely
toys
correct.
products, ki or toys for kids, they have a lot of regulations in that key, the material you should use and those kind of things. So yeah, I think that impacts when you want to make something global. So
No,
that
100%.
definitely,
Or
right.
even food brands. I think one interesting thing that I was
Hmm.
researching on recently was how food brands go ahead with their packaging and with their distribution and with their
Hmm.
supply, meeting their supply demands as a part of this process. And I saw that
Yeah.
in the US, you had specific labels that had to give you like the calorie count, and
Hmm.
that had to give you like special recommendations to say that should not be consumed by individuals who are lesser than 3 years of age.
Hmm.
In
Yeah.
India, the packaging is good, but for example, I grew up drinking Bornvita, and that had like 70% sugar.
Yeah,
Probably one of the reasons why I
there is
loved
this
it.
guy I think on Instagram, I don't know where, who talks about all this. I
Okay,
think you would have yeah, he just very bluntly puts up the brand कि ये brand है जैसे ये Bournvita or
huh,
something like I think Bournvita only कि ये आप बचपन से पी रहे हो but this is not something a health drink which they claim it to be. So I think
absolutely.
Bournvita or I think it was Bournvita. I mean I don't exactly remember, but they had a case filed against them. Then they had to basically rebrand or sort of modify the thing that okay, this is not a health drink.
Understood.
So
और ये चीज आई थिंक
hmm,
बचपन से हमें बस बोला जाता है कि दूध अच्छा है, दूध के साथ दिस इज योर चॉकलेट ड्रिंक.
हाँ,
तो तुम
मेरे कुछ कजन्स तो उसको ऐसे ही सुबह ही खा लेते थे
हाँ हाँ,
एज अ
मैं
डिजर्ट.
भी उसी कैटेगरी में हूँ.
तो या दैट इज समथिंग अराउंड द जैसे मैगी अराउंड मैगी आल्सो आई थिंक इट हैपेंड दैट
राइट.
इट हैज लेड और
लेड
समथिंग.
कंटेंट.
या
राइट. वेरी
तो
फैसिनेटिंग. यूएस में
हम्म
इनफैक्ट प्राइस भले लिखा हो ना हो, हर
हम्म
रेस्टोरेंट में या फिर हर जगह जहाँ पे आप जाते हो, इवन इफ इट्स अ मैकडोनल्ड्स, दे विल गिव यू द कैलोरी काउंट एंड द स्प्लिट ऑफ इंग्रेडिएंट्स. कि किसी को कोई एलर्जी है या फिर अगर किसी को कैलोरी काउंट मेंटेन करना है, तो वो
हम्म
चीज़ एक्सप्लिसिटली लिखी जाती है वहाँ पे. जो आई थिंक इंडिया में वो कल्चर अभी भी मिसिंग है. मुझे तो यही
या
बता के मतलब बड़ा किया गया है कि खाते पीते खानदान से हो तो ये सब खाना चाहिए.
हम्म या so now you are in Intuit
Yes.
in US, California. Tell me how did this happen? Like from Pune Deutsche Bank to Mountain View?
I think I had tremendous opportunities at Deutsche Bank, and my leadership completely believed in my potential.
Hmm.
It helped me grow not just in sense of knowledge and wealth, but also my health. Because when I started with Deutsche Bank, I was just 56, and I grew exponentially with each year. Every year, I had a spike in my health. Oh, so that was funny. But
Was it faster than your, you know, corporate growth or
I would call it proportional because,
yeah,
once you have inflow of money, then you understand, okay, I can eat 5 days out, I
yeah,
can eat out 5 days, or can I eat out like 2 days? So I would call it proportionate in that particular manner. But I think
okay.
from being mentored to that reverse mentoring process, that's why we met as a part of, the whole internship program or
Hmm.
the whole program wherein when I had entered, I had gained certain experiences and I wanted to share those experiences as a part of mentoring you folks. So I think kicking off from small deliverables to owning end-to-end functionalities, that's where I went in
Hmm.
context of going as a growth persona from what I was as a graduate to becoming a very refined professional, delivering certain things wherein Deutsche Bank was
Hmm.
also very gracious in context of giving me 2 promotions in 4 years, which I'd aspired for. So I think holistically that had been a great journey. Then after which I left for masters, and in masters, I initially I was very hesitant, but
Hmm.
then when I applied for universities, I applied by the time that most of the university application processes were coming to an end during that time.
Hmm.
So I
Okay.
applied during the very end time, and I got into Virginia Tech. That's a phenomenal school to be in. It has a legacy of 350 years and brilliant heritage with computer science being one of its key branches. So that's where I did my master's. Initially, it was not sponsored, but for the latter halves, I think my degree was a 2 year program, but I was able to accomplish it in year and a half. That's something that's
Hmm.
very fascinating about the US.
Yeah.
You can finish your degree before time if you take more courses and if you're able to accomplish those timely.
So
And then,
finishing early in the sense that you do courses on parallel, is it? You
yes,
parallelly can take up courses because the
correct.
teachers would be teaching that to someone. So you just
Exactly.
go
So,
sit in
like
that
how we
class.
had defined set of courses in case of
Hmm.
undergrad, here with respect to the US curriculum, you have open electives, like how we call
Hmm.
them in India, and you can pick and choose from the things that you would want based on your concentration. So, my concentration is more in advanced machine learning and also advanced
Okay.
software engineering.
Hmm.
So I could go ahead and pick up any of the topics based on these two. And whichever lecture was available, which was not conflicting, I was able to go ahead, sit in those classes and take those classes.
Yeah. And machine learning, was it is it applied or on the science part of it?
So it is a
The
complete applied machine learning process wherein we have
okay.
to do things like urban computing, wherein you'll
Hmm.
have real life problems to deal with and say that, how do you maintain a good roadway system wherein you have
Hmm.
less traffic congestions using
Okay.
prediction analysis or things like that,
Hmm.
or
So
minimize carbon footprints as a part of this
hmm.
process. How do you have those algorithms in place while you're trying to train your models in context of ensuring that you have a very specified traffic journey as a part of these roadway systems?
Hmm. So was this LLM thing still a hot topic back then? Because now it's like, a part of daily conversation that ChatGPT
Oh,
and
very
LLM.
true.
Because I remember I think there was a paper by Google.
Uh-huh.
It's called Attention is All You Need, I think, which brought this concept, of transformer architecture, which we call
Right.
for which drives basically all the LLMs and models. So was that also part of your curriculum, or because this
Now
is
that you speak about
generative?
that paper, I think I
Hmm.
read that way back during my college days, during my undergrad.
Hmm.
And that time we were doing something like image classification and trying to see
Yeah.
if our models could learn those things. So I learned the basics of how these large language models worked. But I think with my master's degree, it gave me a very great insight in context of what is the foundation of all of
Hmm.
these specific algorithms and took it to a very advanced level,
Hmm.
wherein we were asked to create these projects that we had to present, and these projects had the baseline of very real life based problems. So that is something that I felt was not there as a part of my curriculum back in India when I was doing undergrad.
Hmm.
That to apply your concepts that directly translate to your specific life-based problems.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I got
that
it.
was very different. And I think now, when I'm working in the US based systems, I work for Intuit, which is a very fantastic financial and software based company. It powers products like TurboTax, QuickBooks, MailChimp, and Credit Karma. So I love the variety of products.
Hmm.
So it's not just one product, but you have four different scope of domains to learn.
So are
And
these all B2B
no, so some are
or
B2B, some are B2C.
okay.
It depends on the kind of product and the kind of offering you're choosing.
Hmm.
Like, for example, QuickBooks. QuickBooks is an accounting and a financial based software which deals with both B2B as well as B2C.
Hmm.
And as a part of this, we work directly with individuals, but we
Hmm.
also work with small and mid sized businesses,
Okay.
and they are spread across the world. So
Hmm.
we have certain offerings like, okay, Intuit will take care of your payroll system. You
Hmm.
don't have to do payroll management for your employees. It will provide a platform for inventory management so that you
Hmm.
can put in all of those accounts appropriately. We'll take care of your supply chain and distribution process, wherein
Hmm.
you can keep a track of all of this record keeping or bookkeeping as a part of these.
Hmm.
For individuals, it's more like, okay, I can do your taxes.
Okay.
So in that ways, I will do taxes on your behalf of, or I will assist you while you're doing your taxes. Or
Hmm.
other things like, okay, you're a business owner and you want to file taxes as a business owner. So I'll assist you as a part of that, wherein all you and your employees are taken care of as a part of these biz tax flows.
Hmm.
But what I awesomely love about Intuit is that the way that their culture is defined, it's so profound. Our tagline is powering prosperity, and how that translates to powering prosperity, it begins with empowering our people. And those people can be employees, those people can be customer.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I've heard a lot about like the culture of Intuit. Uh, and you mentioned on so when you say employees, what exactly uh, do you mean in terms of culture for employees?
I think we go with the builder culture and the entrepreneurial mindset, wherein
Hmm.
there is a lot of focus on solving smaller problems that impact a massive number of people. So we have
Okay.
amazing concepts like, follow me homes, wherein we go ahead and we see how exactly these specific customers are doing their day-to-day
Hmm.
journey with our experts, and we create this virtual expert platform to connect these experts to our customers to enable the digital journey, whether it be to do their taxes or to do sales or just understand that as a bookkeeping service.
Okay.
So that ways I think it is very profound how um, simplifying the financial tasks for both consumers and smaller businesses. I think we get first-hand opportunity to understand those flows, and then we as engineers can go ahead and do our technical magic with back-end, front-end, having like a data analytics team powered
Hmm.
a lot of different channels, and then leverage the power of AI to do a lot of these summarizations or a lot of these front side chatbot experiences, things like that. And there was this thing that I'd read before that effective communication is just an effective communication and execution is just 20% of what you
Hmm.
know and what you can do, but
Yeah,
80% depends on how you make others feel about what you know and what you've done. So I
correct.
think it's very important for a team to absorb whatever you understand and whatever you're
Hmm.
translating, and then for that idea to emerge into something big.
Hmm.
A lot of it's not a one man thing. In a
Yeah,
corporate, I realize that it's not a one man thing. You need
yeah.
your team to holistically support you in
You
context
learn
of
that
whatever.
very you learn that very early when you have to redo certain things again
Absolutely.
because people are not aligned. So that and there is no problem with it as such when you look at a from a big picture view because it's your idea, like it's just your idea how you think this should happen, but in reality some other approaches might be really good, when other people put in perspectives. So
100%. And
yeah.
another point that I think that I related very closely with, where how exactly you mentioned that one problem can be solved in different ways. So you list
Hmm.
the option one and option two and option three, and you choose from those set of specific options.
Hmm.
So I love doing that analysis in context of saying that, okay, this is a short-term effort kind of thing, and then this is what's going to be used in the long term, and these are the pros
Hmm.
and cons. So probably that's something that I take from my professional to my personal life also, that when I have to make certain decisions, I go ahead with listing all of these approaches in my life, and I'll debate that with my parents saying that अच्छा ये वाली चीज इसमें ये advantages है और ये disadvantages है, this is the pro and con analysis. So हर चीज में I've realized that whether it be a professional or personal life, you will definitely, I mean, how you said, take a decision and take it now.
Yeah.
Because everything that you're taking in as a decision will definitely have some pros and some cons. You just have to see
Yeah.
the higher good and go ahead with the higher good.
And in personal life, like the only difference is you don't have to keep everyone aligned. You can just go with it. Yeah. Just don't listen to your parents, go with it. Not in everything, but
Ghost zone.
in a in a couple of things at least. So
True.
that's great. And we were talking about this, like how you see that the culture is a bit different. So now you are currently in Mountain View, California, which is it safe to call it that it is the Silicon Valley? Because we hear this word Silicon Valley, and my idea is that San Francisco, is something which you call it, which you associate with Silicon Valley. Is it also that?
So Silicon Valley, as I understand it, is the Bay Area, which
Hmm.
is around 40-45 minutes away from San Francisco. San Francisco is the biggest town, biggest nearest city associated to the Bay Area. But the whole
Hmm.
concept of creating a Bay Area and having the Silicon Valley established there was because they wanted people to work day in and day out with innovation, with creativity, with
Hmm.
flexibility, and take that tech scene, the vibrant tech scene, into one concentrated place.
Hmm.
The Bay Area or the Silicon Valley is essentially the regions of Palo Alto, Sunnyvale, Mountain View. This is where the Google headquarters are. This is where the Meta, Netflix, all of the big firms that we look around, all of these are hubbed as a part of that specific place. And the idea was that they didn't want people to get into the partying culture that often.
Hmm. Yeah.
And they wanted everybody to be very focused and concentrated. So we have Stanford University, which is also very close to that area.
Hmm.
It's in fact a part of the Bay Area. So all of these amalgamation of innovations, your tech giants, your education hubs, your startups, most of these are embedded as a part of the Silicon Valley, wherein
Hmm.
Mountain View is the heart of Silicon Valley. That's where everything started from, and Google has its headquarters, Intuit has its headquarters there.
Got it. And I think just maybe why hubs work, let's say for tech, like why they continue to invest and more and more companies are originate here is probably because the access to people is also very high. You can just very easily in another half or another 2 hours, you can just meet a founder of, let's say, very I mean, a lot of founders just in a way that the access to people is very easy. That's why
100%.
Bangalore probably works in the same way, or Mumbai is something we associate with film industry or media in general. So I get your point on that.
No,
Um,
completely agree. I
hmm,
think the idea, there's a lot of thought that's put into establishing hubs. For example, climate, accessibility, your
hmm,
collaborative environment and the culture, strong emphasis on technology and how the base of technology expands, the interest of people who want to shape the future, and also the dynamics of that ecosystem, because at this point tech is associated with every other entity that you look at. It's an
yeah,
interdisciplinary thing with schooling, with education, across school, with healthcare, with finances. Any field that you pick up, it has to do with tech. From a basic, like my morning routine is I look at my phone, that's first thing in the morning. After I'm dressed, I use an Uber to get to office. The kind of food that I'm eating, I also order it online. When I'm working through a tech ecosystem. So I think from the start of my day to the end of my day, I'm so equipped with tech at this point that
hmm,
separating tech outside of me is going to be so difficult. And I think everybody now in our generation would resonate to this.
yeah, definitely, yeah. I think it is tech is obviously something which has become very indispensable, even in some things which were considered to be offline only or uh, something non-tech, let's say ordering groceries or something. I don't know the last time I went to buy a grocery. I just order it and it arrives in 10 minutes.
बिल्कुल इतना
So,
कन्वीनियंट है कि वो मतलब आपके डोर
हाँ.
स्टेप पे डिलीवर करके जाता है. So I think वो
And
पूरी
even at night, at
Exactly.
night. So, is there that thing in US? I'm not sure. Something like Zepto or Blinkit, which is in India.
So we do have a delivery service. So when it comes to
Hmm.
something like food delivery, yes, we've like how we have Zomato in India, which is so prominent. We've
Huh.
Uber Eats here, we've DoorDash here. So
Yeah.
I think food culture, because all of these tech hubs have a lot of myriad of food habits, and the food culture is very prominent. I think
Hmm.
this was a fun topic that we were discussing to speak about. That
Hmm.
when we see the food culture, because kamata hai insan khane ke liye, तो
बिल्कुल.
Ghana is like absolutely prominent. So I think how the food reflects the broader culture of the region or the cultural trend also varies. So we do have not as convenient as India, because in India you can get access to everything until like 2 a.m. and you'll have everything which is extremely delicious. Here, you do have an exposure to like multiple food cultures, but you don't get like the best authentic Indian food like how you get it in India.
It's more packaged, I think. You would get, I know people who
Correct.
mention ki packaged samosas or something like that. Not.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Or very Americanized also, because
Huh.
not everybody can consume your level of spices, or not everybody is happy
Obviously.
with
Hmm.
the way that we make things. And even in India, if you go from one state to another, every 100 kilometers that you
Hmm.
go, you have a
हाँ, वो
different
खाना बदल
flavor.
जाता है
बिल्कुल.
किसी भी.
और वो स्वाद, और वो मतलब नुस्खे भी, कि
हाँ, the way you make it.
correct, all of that varies enormously.
Hmm. Talking about food, like what's the speciality? Is there something like speciality food?
In the US,
Yeah, US or the place where you're staying, Mountain View specifically.
so I think American food is very well known in the
Yeah,
world. the calorie rich American food. But I think one contrast that I saw between um, my journey through America was that there are two categories of Americans, how I'd like to classify it. One, who love food and who are extremely foodies like me. And they would have all calorie rich food in that context. So fried food is one of the most staple food and readily available packaged food in the US is very popular
Hmm.
because life is very fast moving. So that is why it's more accessible and it's more easy
Hmm.
to just grab and go. But the other segment of people who are very health conscious and very know it all with respect to diet and very calorie count conscious, they are extremely fit. And I've seen that culture vary from different parts of the US, that there are some people who are even they're in their 50s, they'll hit the gym every day and they look stunning, whereas some like me would relish every bit of the meal that they're getting because you earn for eating.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which category do you belong to.
I suspect like you definitely are. You aim to become more healthy. Just like you started corporate. But yeah, that's totally awesome. Um, in uh, yeah, American food is probably I understand. We typically know. Um, but I was interested to know one thing specifically, like why is it called Mountain View? Is it because it's a very unique name for a city, like Mountain View.
I think,
Is it?
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, finish it.
No, I was just saying like why is it exactly called Mountain View?
So I think Mountain View is a city which is very close to Santa Cruz Mountains,
Hmm.
and
Oh.
the stunning views of the mountains with like sunrises and sunsets. It's a very scenic backdrop of the mountains in
Hmm.
the West Coast. So I think
Hmm.
in the late 1900s, that's when it was declared that Mountain View would be called Mountain View because this is a location in the heart of the San Francisco Bay Area, which is a primal spot for all of these
Hmm.
very beautiful, scenic, panoramic, natural beauty and natural views of the mountains. So that is why. Otherwise, every say 20, 30 miles that you go across the US, you're going to definitely have a stunning mountain view, which would be different from the mountain
Hmm.
view where I stay in.
Interesting. So, Bay Area, like you mentioned, assume that would be one travel spot people usually go to.
100%. And it has one of the world's best connectivity and amazing weather across the year. So it does not have
Oh,
extreme weather like the other places in the US. It has a very tropical weather and really good in context of coming through the Bay Area across the year whenever you'd like to visit. I think it's very beautiful and you should definitely pay a visit whenever possible.
yeah. The weather is, I think, in the coastal areas, it's generally not uh, as more continental areas. So,
True.
yeah. So, how do you spend weekends?
So as a corporate employee, I think all of
No,
us
no,
just
not as a
live
corporate
for
employee. Like just
weekends.
yeah, that
मतलब
that part I get. As a
इंसान 5 दिन काम
normal
करता है
आदमी.
ताकि वो हाँ वही
हाँ.
वही एज अ नॉर्मल इंसान इंसान 5 दिन काम करता है ताकि वो वीकेंड्स पे एंजॉय कर सके. So usually I think one key difference that I saw between the culture of how
Hmm.
India was versus here, in the US there's more of hiking culture wherein your
Yeah.
luxuries are to enjoy nature and to enjoy those specific scenic beauty and go into
Hmm.
hikes. And they promote it because from a health aspect it's very good. So there are extremely beautiful national parks across the US. So there are specific national parks, there are state parks, and then there are county parks as well,
Hmm.
जहाँ पे बहुत अच्छे एम्यूनिटीज़ और रिसोर्सेज रहते हैं जहाँ पे आप जाके अपने फैमिली के साथ अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ एंजॉय कर सको. And the
Yeah.
fun fact is that because there's so much love and affinity towards nature, everybody is encouraged to go there and it's in proximity.
Hmm.
So, matlab, and especially in the Bay Area, it's such that if you are going as a part of these hikes, the chances that you'd meet an amazing group of VCs or an amazing group of entrepreneurs or CEOs, also for that matter, is exponentially high.
Yeah, that's definitely true. मतलब मैं ये नहीं बोलूंगा इंडिया में या इंडिया में hiking culture is not there, but it is there. But it hiking is more of like a travel or vacation. It's not
Exactly.
properly hiking that you go with hiking boots, you go with tents or camping gear.
True.
Probably because there is not that infrastructure for that. You need to have dedicated hiking trails for that. It is there in a lot of places, especially let's say in Bangalore. It's definitely there in nearby places. In 200, 300 kilometer radius, you have a lot of hiking trails, and people usually go. But yeah, that's definitely there. In Europe also, I think there is a lot of good hiking culture.
I think the luxury that
Hmm.
Europe, India, and even the Middle East, for that matter, has is that people's sense of vacation is not to go on hikes. Their sense of
हाँ
vacation is अच्छा हम waterfall घूम के आते हैं या
हाँ
फिर
जस्ट
हम
मेन
boating
मेन मेन
करते
मेन
हैं.
स्पॉट कवर कर लो जो
बिल्कुल,
टूरिस्टी
exactly,
स्पॉट है वो कवर कर लो इट्स मोर
बिल्कुल,
अबाउट कवरिंग लाइक व्हाट इन माय एक्सपीरियंस लाइक हाउ मच ट्रैवल आई हैव डन इट्स मोर ऑफ लाइक कि 2 दिन में हम क्या कवर कर सकते हैं तो 3 दिन में क्या क्या कवर कर सकते हैं
exactly.
that's typically a more of a vacation mode I would say not specifically travel or hike.
Correct. Because if it's with parents, it's more like जो top
Hmm.
attractions हैं वो करते हैं और फिर अगर हाइक पे जाना है तो हाइक का मतलब तीर्थ यात्रा हो गया उनके लिए
Yeah.
कि हम वैष्णो देवी घूम के आते हैं या फिर हम यहाँ इस मंदिर घूम के आते हैं. So I think from a hike perspective, like when I speak to my father about how
हाँ.
they used to do their hikes, they said कि हमारे यहाँ मंदिर का whole concept was that it will be secluded from the city
Hmm.
और वो ऊंचाई पे इसलिए बनाया जाता था क्योंकि उस ऊंचाई तक यू कैन गो अहेड एंड आपको वो सारे चीज़ जो आप दिमाग में
Hmm.
सोचते रहते हो कि मैं इतना कमा रहा हूँ मेरे पास इतना है खाने के लिए मैं मुझे घर बनवाना है मुझे ये
Hmm.
करना है वो करना है जब तक आप वहां तक चढ़ के जाओगे तब तक वो थकान और वो एक्साइटमेंट एंड द एड्रेनलिन रश उस सिलसिले में आप सब भूल जाओगे.
Yeah.
So that used to be the concept of hiking that
Hmm.
okay, we're going there to ensure that we have that adrenaline rush and the dopamine spike. And it's going to be rewarding because it is एक गोल सेटिंग करके आप जा रहे हो और वहां जाके भगवान के सामने आपको कुछ मांगना है इसलिए आप जा रहे हो. So that was the intent. Whereas here it's more like, okay, we need to see the sunset at this particular time, and based
Hmm.
on this time, we need to leave at this point. And the discipline to do that is like, okay, I'm going to cover 10,000 steps in 2 hours,
Hmm.
for an instance.
Got it.
और उसमें मुझे ये चीज़ें करनी है. One more stark difference is that India में the accessibility that you have to food during
Hmm.
these vacation spots or during these attractions that you're going to visit are enormous. आपको एक
हाँ
और कुछ नहीं तो एक चाय का दुकान या फिर पान का
वो तो
दुकान
सब
ऐसा
जगह मिल
मिल
जाएगी.
जाएगा. एग्जैक्टली. यूएस में ये लग्जरी नहीं है. यूएस में दे आर डेजिग्नेटेड रेस्ट एरियाज जहाँ पे दे हैव अ ग्रुप ऑफ होटल्स और दे हैव अ ग्रुप ऑफ restaurants and restrooms, parking spots in every specific, say, 20 miles or 50 miles.
Hmm.
And then the concept is कि आप अगर टूर पे जा रहे हो तो you take destinative halts during that time whenever you need to get access to food or you need to use the restroom. तो वो
Hmm.
चीज़ हमें बहुत ऐसे अखरती है कि अच्छा अगर हम इंडिया में रहते तो एटलीस्ट यहाँ पे मैगी कहीं तो मिल जाता.
Yeah.
यूएस में वो कल्चर नहीं है. विच आई थिंक आई कम्प्लीटली मिस क्योंकि आप कहीं भी निकल रहे हो तो उसके लिए आपको एक तो गाड़ी चाहिए. दैट्स अ
Hmm.
मैंडेट बिकॉज पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट इज गुड बट इज गुड इन ओनली स्पेसिफिक एरियाज.
Yeah, I think things are very far. In
करेक्ट.
that's why like a lot of people need to have a car and compared to maybe Europe, I don't know.
Depends. In Europe, also, the public transport is good in specific cities, not in all cities. But something that distinguishes um, US from all of the other spaces that I've been in is that US में urbanization का concept is very profound.
Hmm.
मतलब अगर वो एक विलेज को या फिर एक सिटी को बहुत अपस्केल नहीं कर पाए तो वो सारे रिसोर्सेज उनके पास ले आते हैं।
Hmm.
जैसे आपके पास पेट्रोल पंप या फिर आपके पास रेस्टोरेंट्स या
Hmm.
वॉलमार्ट या एक्सेस टू दीज बेसिक एमिनिटीज योर स्कूल्स
Hmm.
वहाँ पे डेजिग्नेटेड है कि इतने डिस्टेंस पे आपको एक स्कूल, एक वॉलमार्ट, एक पेट्रोल पंप चाहिए ही
Hmm.
चाहिए, ताकि आपका जो कम्युनिटी है, जो सिविलाइजेशन है वहाँ पे, दैट ग्रोज एक्सपोनेंशियली एंड दैट कैन
Hmm.
टेक केयर ऑफ थिंग्स अकॉर्डिंगली, which
Yeah.
in India, I think to bridge that gap between a rural and an urban setup, बहुत समय लग रहा है अभी भी.
Hmm.
At least the place that I'm coming from, Bihar में there's only one international airport, which is
Hmm.
Patna International Airport. और वहाँ पे there are talks around creating different airports, but the mode of transportation is very difficult. So for me to go from Patna to my hometown, which is Bhagalpur, it takes 6.5 hours. तो जितना समय मुझे दिल्ली में इमिग्रेशन करके सारा फॉर्मेलिटीज़ ख़त्म करके फ़्लाइट पकड़ के पटना
Hmm.
आने में लगेगा, उससे बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम शॉर्टर डिस्टेंस के लिए पटना से भागलपुर जाने में लगेगा.
Yeah, not just in those kind of cities. I would say even in something like Bangalore, just going for me to go from my place to the airport takes around 2 hours, and the flight from Bangalore to my home, which is in Jammu, would take around 4 hours. So that I understand totally. It was really great talking to you, Nidhi.
Absolutely.
I was thinking of doing this for a while, and I'm glad we did it. So thanks
I
a
was
lot for
super
that.
happy. And at some point when I started, I will definitely start with you being on the other side, wherein I get an opportunity to know you better.
Sure, for sure.